everyone, this is Shivani and welcome back to my channel Lit Fun. Today we'll be discussing yet another novel named Tess of D'Urberville, written by Thomas Hardy. So basically, Tess of D'Urberville is a 19th century novel set in England, and Tess is the protagonist of the novel Tess of D'Urberville. So basically, the real name of Tess of D'Urberville is actually Tess Derby Field. Okay, and Tess is really pretty and very innocent, and she lacks the wise parenting. So she does not know the mean ways of the world in which people can behave. And Tess's father is really a lazy man, and one day he finds out from some source that his family is actually connected to a very noble family named D'Urberville, and he also finds a D'Urberville family living nearby, and very soon he comes up with a plan to establish a relationship with those D'Urbervilles so that they might get benefited from that connection. So now, owing to that plan, he decides to send Tess over there to work in hopes that the lady of that house will help Tess in some financial ways. Now, being the innocent one, Tess agrees and she goes there to work. Now she finds that Mrs. D'Urberville is blind, and she has a son, Alec D'Urberville, who is not at all a moral and a righteous man. So he is basically, you can say, he is kind of a womanizer who seduces innocent women, and he had his constant eyes on Tess, and he tries multiple times to woo her, to seduce her, but being the innocent one, Tess keeps on trying to evade his advances. Now you might think that look what a noble family it is, but the irony was that they were not the real or the true D'Urbervilles. What happened was Alec's father, his name was Simon Stokes, and he was a merchant. So after he built a big mansion and he got retired, he just changed his name to D'Urberville. Why? Because they were really a reputed and a noble family. So he wanted that respect for himself. So he just changed his name to D'Urberville. He was not actually a D'Urberville. So Tess works over there for quite some time, for a lot of months. And one day she goes out with other workers to a fair. And on her way back, it was quite dark. The night had fallen. And Alec, he takes advantage of Tess. She had, tried to save herself, tried to save her virtue for a long period of time, but this time she's unable to do so. She's completely alone, and Alec takes advantage of her. And Tess leaves the job and she returns back. And it is discovered that Tess has become pregnant. Alec tries to offer help, to offer money, but of course Tess refuses, showing her integrity. And of course it would have been very humiliating, and it would have meant that Tess wanted money, or Tess had forgiven Alec for what he had done. So she absolutely straight away refuses any sort of help, and she goes back to her house. Now obviously you people can imagine what kind of reaction she would have got. It was 19th century, and still at least in India, people still look down upon the girls who face this kind of sexual abuse, and they tend to put the girls into a witness box as if they are not the victims but they are the criminals. They're trying to assess the reasons why this must have happened. She must have seduced, she must have worn that kind of clothes. Nobody actually questions the mentality of the criminal. So the same thing happens over here. Tess receives a lot of backlash, and even when she wasn't at fault, she was taken advantage of, and she herself is like suffering so much, but no one comes to help her. And she gives birth to a son, and she christens him as Sorrow. So this is also, like you can just imagine what a pitiful condition she was in, to name her child as Sorrow. And she christens him herself, because the church had completely denied that they would not perform any rituals for her baby, because it was illegitimate, and so the ways of society. So you can see the pain of a mother that she must have felt ki ek to ye sab ho gaya, now she has a little life to take care of, and nobody is helping her out with that, and nobody is happy that she has a child now. And sorrow also becomes like really really sick when he is born, since he does not receive any care, proper care and nutrition and all that things. Eventually he dies. So another sorrow struck, Tessa's life. And again, no church is ready to give a proper burial to the child. I mean, it was just a child, an innocent child. How can we label child as illegitimate when it is absolutely no fault of his? उसने थोड़ी डिसाइड किया है that I will get born in this or that family to this or that parent. But nobody is ready to give him a proper burial, so Tess herself buries her child and decorates his grave. So she spends a miserable year over there, and while she had sorrow with him, she was still working. And eventually things get like really really miserable for her, and then she gets a job as a milkmaid at some farm. So she goes over there, and there she makes some friends, and she meets the man Angel Clark. Okay, so as the name suggests, Angel, he is truly an angel. And he is the protagonist or the true hero of the film, novel. And Tess and Angel both eventually fall into love, and they decide to get married. Now obviously Tess had a lot of doubts. She was very innocent. She had been blaming herself throughout for whatever had transpired with her. And of course the reaction of society and her family had also, kind of led her to believe that it had been her fault somehow, or whatever has been done was wrong. So she decides to tell Angel everything, but she is not able to muster that courage. So what does she do? She writes a letter and she slides through the door of Angel's room before the marriage. But what happens is, when she slides the letter from beneath the door, the letter slips under the carpet and Angel never gets it. So because Angel is absolutely unaware of everything, so he reacts very normally. So but Tess thinks that he has read the letter, but he has accepted it, and he does not held her accountable, so they both get married. Now what happens? At the night, they both sit together, and Angel starts telling her about his own past, about the mistakes he had committed in the past, and he had kind of an affair with an older woman. He might not have gone too far. He came into his senses before that, but a lot of things had transpired between them. And what is wicked in this situation is that we see that Tess had tried multiple times to to tell about her past to Angel, but we never see Angel trying to tell anything about his past to Tess. And now once they have gotten married, on the very same day he's confessing everything to Tess. So like what is the purpose? And he's so self-assured that Tess will forgive him. Is a मतलब double level की how can you be so he is absolutely sure कि चलो मैंने बता दिया, मैंने बहुत बड़ा काम कर दिया, टेस्ट तो मुझे माफ कर ही देगी. And Tess, being a simple and a sweet soul, she actually forgives him and becomes happy. Ki if he has that sort of past, then definitely he will not have trouble accepting mine. और जिसमें कि उसने तो खुद से किया था, he was equally participating in whatever had happened, but Tess के साथ तो गलत हुआ था. She wasn't willing to do anything. She was wronged. So she is also of that opinion कि Angel will also accept my past and he'll forgive me. But obviously no such thing happens. So we see कि नाम ही Angel है, otherwise he is a big hypocrite and a double-faced and everything. And it's also the conditioning of the society. He is not able to accept, he is not able to come to terms with the fact that his wife had a sexual encounter with someone else. Even if it was sexual abuse, he is not able to digest that fact, and he goes violent, and he for consequent days he goes and sleeps in other room. He's just not able to accept their relation. Tess thinks if they should separate, if they should get a divorce, but back then divorce was not legal, it wasn't allowed. And there is a very famous and a very gothic and a disturbing scene. So after a few days, Angel is seen sleepwalking, and he comes to Tess and he declares that my wife is dead. he starts mourning, and it somehow shows his mental condition, that he's so depressed. And the image, his image of a pure Tess has been shattered now. So for him, the pure Tess that he had married is actually dead, and the Tess that is living does not matter to him anymore. So in his sleep induced condition, he lifts Tess in his arms, and he goes into a churchyard, put her into a coffin, and he's almost about to drown her in the river. It's like very, you get goosebumps, like what is he doing? And Tess is awake all throughout, lying in his arms, and she is like, I will be your slave, and I'll lie and die if you wish so. So वो उठती ही नहीं, she never tries to bring Angel to senses that what are you doing, I am very much alive, no. But and this also somewhere gives us an indication of the coming doom. So but eventually Angel loses, I don't know whether he comes back to senses or he loses his senses. Basically वो एक तरह से he was sleepwalking, एक तरह से उसका एक ड्रीम सा चल रहा था, and it gets over, and now he does not know what to do. So Tess helps Angel to return back to the house safely. He guides him throughout the way and brings him home. And next day when he wakes up, he has absolutely no recollection of the past, of the things that he had done. And he decides that he would now go to Brazil and try to open his farm, and would take a break from his relationship. He gives Tess some money, and he says that I'll try to accept your past, but by the time I come to terms with it, you must stay away from me. Don't try to join me. I myself will come back for you. So it is there that I myself will come back for you, but you have to stay alone for that while. Tess accepts, but she pleads that please, don't be very harsh on me. I'll accept any punishment that you give me, but please don't make it too much. So, on this note, they part away. The life becomes miserable for both of them. Angel tells about this to the family, and the family is not at all pleased with his decision. Earlier, they were not ready to accept Tess because she was not from a well off family. Then she accepts, then the family accepts her, that she is working and everything, they accept her, but they read a verse from the Bible that uh, the wife should be loyal and pure and all that stuff. And of course Angel को तो पहले से ही वो चीजें खल रही थी कि now Tess is not pure. So he just leaves the room and everything, and his mother doubts that Angel has found something about Tess's past that is not good. But Angel denies it, and he leaves for Brazil. Here Tess comes back to her home. She tells everything to the family, and again the reaction of family is really really bad. And so Tess lies that she is going to join her husband. She has received a letter, and she leaves the house. But before she leaves, she gives half of the money that Angel had given her to her family. So this shows that Tess is still very very kind hearted, and she she wants to help her family. She loves her family, but she does not get any support from anywhere. So now, being homeless, being helpless, being everything, she gets a job at a farm which is very unprosperous. Conditions are really really difficult there. The weather, the environment, everything is like really miserable. And Angel also there is not happy. A, he's mentally disturbed, and B, he also faces extreme troubles, like physically also. So life is miserable for both of them, and this is what angers me a lot. Ki, what is this? Like the double standards or the set principles, but whom are they benefiting? You are miserable, you have made your wife miserable, then what is the function of these principles, that there should be purity, there should be this, there should be that, because it is not giving happiness to anyone. And even if it should be, you should at least be able to exercise your intellect to identify what is wrong and what is right, and who is the victim and who is the criminal, and who should be punished and who should be taken care of, who should be sympathized. कि Tess को actually care की जरूरत थी so that she could come out of her trauma. But what did Angel do? He just धक्का दे दिया उसने उसको, और ज्यादा उस पिटफॉल में, और वो और ज़्यादा डिप्रेस होती चली गई. एंड एंजल हियर हिमसेल्फ वाज ऑल्सो suffering. So I had, just come across a video on YouTube only that said that why girls prefer villain more than heroes, and she had written a great line that because heroes would sacrifice us to save the society, whereas villains would sacrifice the world to save us. And somewhere this situation is kind of with Angel and Alec, because Angel wanted to go with the societal norms, and for this he sacrificed Tess. He broke the relationship kind of for some time. So anyways, the life is miserable, and now what happens, a major turn comes into their lives, because Tess encounters a kind of holy man, a preacher, and that preacher is preaching about love, life, purity, truthfulness, and everything. And can you guess who that preacher was? It was Alec D'Urberville, who had taken advantage of Tess, made her pregnant, and then left her. And now he had become a preacher, and he had a huge fan following. So just like in India na, हम किसी के भी पीछे चले जाते हैं बाबा बाबा कह के, we never try to find out their past, like what kind of people were they. And a lot of times we get ditched, or मतलब ठगी जाना, we get cheated. So if you are following anyone, okay, be it a religious person, be it any role model, please try to figure out कि वो actually है क्या, आप actually follow किसको कर रहे हो. You should be very clear about that, because people wear mask all the time. They have lot of images to portray in front of the public, but you should actually know that who that person is behind the mask before you decide to blindly follow them. Now when Tess comes face to face with Alec, both of them are shocked till the core कि ये क्या हुआ. The encounter leaves them shocked. And initially Alec, and Alec again feels drawn to Tess. Initially he tries to resist that urge, but then he is not able to do so, and he give up on his religious ways now, and again he's after Tess कि please take me back. See what a great saint and a preacher he was. So now he's again after Tess, और Tess की life again फिर से और एक problem उसकी life में आ गया कि अब इसको कैसे avoid करे. Back there she receives a letter that her mother is very very ill, so she goes back to her house to take care of her mother. But what happens is she faces an untimely death of her father. Now with no father, no man, no proper and reliable source of income, they have to evict the house in which they were living. So now they come on the road, they are completely helpless, and Alec very well takes advantage of this situation and he offers to help them. Tess of course denies because she knows that he is trying to obligate her, उस पर एहसान करेगा और फिर उसको force करेगा to marry him, and she did not want to do that. But she could not see her family like that. Her family also pressurizes her, and she writes a lot of letters to Angel, initially pleading कि please मेरी situation बहुत बुरी हो गई है, now please forgive me, come back and all. And then when situation goes out of control, she writes him furious letters, that you have made my life miserable, blaming Angel and shouting and screaming her feelings out in the letters. But those letters never reach Angel, and eventually she is forced to marry Alec. The thing was, we somewhere believe that maybe Alec now truly feels something for Tess, but if he had really true feelings, then he should have given her time. He should have helped her selflessly and not forced her or not pressurized her to marry him. Maybe he was scared that she would never marry him, or I don't know, whatever it was. But if it was true love, according to me, he should not have pressurized her. But as things were, she gets pressurized and she accepts his help, and she marries him thinking that Angel will never come back, and having no choice because her sister was like almost about to die in the cold. So she accepts Alec's help and gets married. Now Angel also returns to his house from Brazil in a very pitiable condition, and then he receives Tess's letters. So, and of course, जैसे कहते हैं लातों के भूत बातों से नहीं मानते, तो वो जो पहला वाला लेटर पढ़ता है इन विच शी वॉज प्लीडिंग, तब उसको सिर्फ बुरा लगता है एंड ही डज नॉट कम टू एनी कंक्लूजन. बट जब वो दूसरा लेटर पढ़ता है दैट वॉज फुल ऑफ रेज एंड कंप्लेन्स दैट यू हैव डिस्ट्रॉयड माई लाइफ एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ. So then he feels guilty कि नहीं, I should go back for Tess. But it was too late. He goes searching for Tess, and then he finds out that she had been already married and she was living a very comfortable life, rich clothes, rich house, and everything. And Tess, of course, does not accept him because now she is married to Alec. So Angel leaves from there very, very disheartened. Now what happens is again a shock. So Alec gets to know कि Angel आया था and he gets jealous and he starts bad mouthing about Angel कि ये ऐसा वैसा. And Tess, who had suffered all her life, she never ever once raised her voice or stood up for herself. वो जितना भी torture हुआ सब कुछ सहती आई है. And at this point जब एंजल पे कोई उंगली उठा रहा है, अपने लिए उसने कभी वॉइस रेस नहीं की और वो एंजल के बारे में कुछ सुन नहीं पाती है. एंड शी टेक्स अ नाइफ एंड शी स्टैब्स एलेक इन द हार्ट, in the center. And Alec is absolutely shocked, but the only thing that could still kind of redeem him to kya hi hai, but kind of tells her that he did feel something for Tess was that he does not struggle even a bit. He does not stop Tess, he does not do anything, and Tess stabs him and he dies. Like, look at the courage कि मतलब वो कितना ज़्यादा एंजल को चाहती होगी कि उस और and obviously she hated Alec. Why wouldn't she? First he wronged him, then he pressurized her into marrying him, and I think nobody can do that. अगर किसी ने आपको चीट किया, आपकी पूरी लाइफ मिजरेबल कर दी है, आपसे आपका सारा सपोर्ट सिस्टम छीन लिया है, आप वो कितनी भी हेल्प कर ले, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू फॉस्टर फीलिंग्स फॉर दैट पर्सन. और जिसमें कि उसने ट्राई भी नहीं किया, उसने क्या किया, उसने उसकी हेल्प की बट इस इंटेंशन से कि फिर मैं उसको प्रेशराइज कर पाऊंगा मुझसे शादी करने के लिए. देयर वॉज नो सेल्फलेस हेल्प और नो रिग्रेट और नो अमेंडमेंट ऑफ द फॉलीज. एंड ऑन द अदर हैंड शी लव्ड एंजल सो मच कि वो उसके बारे में कुछ भी बर्दाश्त नहीं कर सकती थी. एलेक्स से फ्रॉम एलेक्स माउथ तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं. सो शी स्टैब्स हिम एंड शी रन्स आफ्टर एंजल और एंड शी टेल्स हिम एवरीथिंग. बट एंजल इज नॉट एबल टू बिलीव कि टेस ऐसा कुछ कर सकती है. नंदलेस दे गो फ्रॉम देयर एंड ऑब्वियसली मर्डर हुआ था तो पता तो चलना ही था. बट दे स्पेंड अ फ्यू डेज इन हाइडिंग किसी secluded cottage में, फिर कभी कहीं फिर कभी कहीं. But after just a few days Tess gets caught, so she goes to sleep and only those few days were of any contentment for Tess. It's a very depressing novel actually. It has very few light moments in it. और Tess की पूरी लाइफ में शायद वही कुछ दिन एक पीसफुल थे या कुछ bliss, कुछ ऐसे days थे when Tess really felt peaceful and content from within, when she felt happy because she was with Angel. And although the danger of being caught and death was looming in the background, but she did not care at all. She was just happy that she was with Angel. And one fine morning she gets caught by the police, and then we are just taken to the last scene, which signifies that Tess has been executed and Angel is with a girl holding hands, signifying that he has married or he will marry someone. And who is that girl? Tess's own younger sister. So even if Tess would have said ki my sister has all my good qualities and none of my bad ones, so please marry her, but it's a big thing ki wo she is in this situation kind of because of you, and she is getting executed there and you have accepted her younger sister also. मतलब it's so soon, it's literally so soon. So तुम कहाँ की एंजल हो यार. So मतलब you may have your own opinions, but somehow we encounter some novels like this where we are not able to distinguish the hero from the villain, and it was really very soon. So The only sufferer throughout the book was Tess of D'Urberville. Angel ने जो भी suffer किया, now he has got the compensation in form of Tess's sister, who is absolutely pure. And Tess is dead now, after living a very, very miserable life, and now she has eventually died. Hopefully she gets peace in heaven or in the next life or whatever. But yes, this was the entire story of Tess of D'Urberville. Do let me know your views about the story, and we'll meet soon. Till then, bye everyone, have a nice day and keep reading. Ta-da!